Russia and Ukraine war history and effect on Europe. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine can be traced back to the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1991. Following the dissolution of the USSR, Ukraine became an independent state, but it still maintained close ties with Russia. However, tensions between the two countries began to escalate in 2014 when Ukraine's pro-Russian president Viktor Yanukovych was ousted in a popular uprising and replaced by a pro-Western government. Here are some of the key factors that contributed to the conflict. Crimea annexation. In February 2014, Russian forces seized control of Crimea, a Ukrainian territory with a majority ethnic Russian population. Russia then held a controversial referendum in which Crimea voted to become part of Russia. The international community, including Ukraine and many Western countries, condemned Russia's actions as a violation of international law. Ethnic tensions. Ukraine has a large Russian-speaking minority, especially in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. After the change in government in 2014, some of these regions declared independence from Ukraine and formed self-proclaimed People's Republics, which were backed by Russia. Geostrategic interests. Russia has historically seen Ukraine as a buffer state between itself and NATO, and as a key transit route for Russian gas exports to Europe. Ukraine's pro-Western orientation threatened Russia's strategic interests, leading Moscow to take aggressive action to maintain its influence in the region. Political and economic ties. Russia and Ukraine have close economic ties, especially in the energy sector. Ukraine relies heavily on Russian gas imports, while Russia depends on Ukraine's gas transit pipelines to supply Europe. Political ties have also been strained, with Ukraine seeking closer integration with the European Union and NATO. Ideological differences. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has also been driven by ideological differences. Ukraine has sought to distance itself from its Soviet past and move closer to Western democratic values, while Russia has sought to maintain its influence and assert itself as a regional power. The conflict has led to a protracted and ongoing war, with thousands of deaths and significant displacement of civilians. International efforts to resolve the conflict have been ongoing, but a resolution has yet to be achieved. Effect on Europe. This war. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has had a significant impact on Europe, both politically and economically. Here are some of the key effects. Energy security. The conflict has raised concerns about energy security in Europe, as Ukraine is a major transit country for Russian gas exports to Europe. The disruption of gas supplies during the conflict has led to shortages and price spikes in some European countries. Refugee crisis. The conflict has caused significant displacement of civilians, with many fleeing to neighboring countries and some seeking asylum in Europe. This has contributed to the ongoing refugee crisis in Europe, putting pressure on governments to provide assistance and support. Economic sanctions. The European Union, EU, has imposed economic sanctions on Russia in response to its actions in Ukraine. These sanctions have had a significant impact on Russia's economy, but also on European businesses that have lost access to the Russian market. Political tensions. The conflict has strained relations between Russia and many European countries, particularly those that have taken a more critical stance towards Russia's actions in Ukraine. This has led to increased political tensions and a sense of instability in the region. Military buildup. The conflict has led to a military buildup in the region, with NATO increasing its presence in Eastern Europe in response to Russia's actions. This has raised concerns about the possibility of a wider conflict and increased the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Overall, the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine has had significant economic, political, and security implications for Europe, and it continues to be a major source of tension and instability in the region. Thanks for watching.